So, Huffman coding is used in document compression, signal encoding, and so on. So it's actually a core part of many compression algorithms, right? So if you think about the music you hear, or the gzip protocol, which is used all the time. Do you know? Like, for instance, when you so typically when you retrieve anything over HTTP, often the underlying protocol basically compresses it on the fly, right? So compression is something that's everywhere. JPEG for image and MPEG and so on. Every compression algorithm out there uses Huffman encoding as part of it. Okay. Now let's finish up by talking about how much compression can we get, right? It depends on what you necessarily use, what you use the code word, right? If you use English characters, well, we saw that example, right? So yes, there was some reduction, some 20% or whatever, right? But not that impressive, right? So what type of compression do you expect, let's say, for text documents, right? Well, often you can get a factor of 10 easily, right? For plain text documents. So 20% is nothing, right? So you should but if you consider your code words as entire words, or better, entire sentences, then you can get much better compression, right? Because you can say, I'm going to represent this frequently occurring sentence using 2 bits, and infrequently occurring sentences using a larger number of bits. Now you'll get a much more impressive reduction in size. But unfortunately, when you start using words or sentences as in your code book, then your dictionary or code book becomes very large, right? Because there are only 26 characters, but there could be maybe 1 million words, maybe not 1 million, but a very much larger number of words. And so that means your code book has to be very large. Now, if you think about what you need to do, you need to not only send the message across, but somehow the code book also needs to be sent across, right? And so, because in compression applications, it's not that there is a fixed probability that's known ahead of time, right? Because you're trying to transmit a document, and so it's about the frequency of characters in that document. So in that sense, the code book is not something that's universal. The code book is specific to that document. And therefore, you need to think about, how do I first send the code book and then the compressed data, right? So you need to worry about the total cost, and as such, the approach by itself can get problematic once the alphabet sizes become large, okay? So that's why what we need are techniques that don't need a code book, and that's what we will talk about in the next lecture, okay? So gzip, for instance, doesn't use a code book, although Huffman coding is somewhere in there, and it is used in a certain way, but the higher level compression algorithms try to avoid building a code book.